Hello everyone. Today I'd like to cover performance tuning Postgres in real time. As DBAs, we know like the hardest, the most nerve-wracking time of our job is when we get that call about performance in production. Maybe a new system is going live, or multiple batch project processes are running, and we're getting like performance degradation, and we get that call. Hey, can you figure out what's going on? The query I used to run for 5 seconds is now taking 30 minutes, and so and everybody's like waiting for you to fix it, like this, perform a miracle. You have management on your neck and everybody. So it's a quick demo just to show how, what my approach is in real time for PostgreSQL. I'll be using Docker for Postgres, and I have pgstat statement extension installed as well. So if you're using a Docker like myself, make sure you install the extension pgstat statements. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Um, what I'll be doing here, first of all, I have 3 terminals and I'm using a Mac, okay? I will be working with 3 terminals because I would, be executing the statements in real time in all 3 and cross-referencing just for better understanding, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by creating a schema called e-commerce, okay? I want to do all of this in real time so we all see, we create the problem and fix it in real time for better understanding, okay? So I've created a schema called e-commerce. I'm going to set the search path to e-commerce as well so that all queries are referenced against this schema first, okay? Okay, that was done. I will proceed by creating a table called users. And you don't have to worry about trying to copy the queries in real time. I'll put the link in the bottom of the video to my Git repo, so you can always like get all these queries from my Git repo. Now I'm gonna go ahead and insert 100,000 records into this table, okay? So that's complete. I'm going to create another table called user activity log. Table created, and I will go ahead and insert 2 million records into this table, okay? Again, you don't have to worry about the queries. I will make them available in my Git repo. Okay. So once this insert completes, we're going to start our little demo, okay? I'm gonna set timing on. And I will go ahead and run a query, okay? Mind you, I haven't created any indexes on these tables. The whole idea is to create a problem and then fix it, and this process, you can basically use the same process, in real life, right? Okay, so this is just a simple demo of like how you would actually troubleshoot, performance issues in real time, okay? So I've executed that query. I'm gonna go ahead and go into another terminal, okay? And figure out what's going on in the database at this point in time by querying PG backend, okay? Let's copy it. Okay, we see the process ID and we see the query that is running, right? So now I'm gonna check performance stats on this query. Okay, in the next terminal. If you look at the performance stats, we see that it's doing a full table scan, right? Which is something that we don't want, right? So based on that, you know, let's see if the query is still running. Okay, the query completed its execution, and it took a total of 51 seconds to complete, right? So in situations like this, what we would do, I mean, sometimes you might have to kill that query, okay? Um, if, based on the execution, it looks like it's better for you to kill the query, or in real time, you might need to apply indexes and gather stats on the table, or, based on how you weigh the situation. So I just want to show you, I want to exemplify, you know, how to figure out, first of all, which indexes, if any, are missing on this table, okay? So I'll go ahead and run a query for that. We see that there are no index scans at all. We have sequential reads, which means we're reading directly from the table, doing full table scans, okay? What that means is that we need indexes, right? Because every time when you do queries and you have sort by clauses or where clauses, you want to use your indexes. So this, from every indication, we're not having, any use of indexes here. So I'm going to go ahead and create indexes, okay, for the table. Now that we have an index created, I'm going to analyze the table users, okay, to make sure that the optimizer is aware, that the indexes have been created and you can gather stats on the table, okay? And then now we're going to test the query again, okay, after creating the index. And now you can see that the same query ran for 5 milliseconds because of the index. So indexes are very essential. Gathering stats on your tables are very essential, okay? If you have static tables, and the auto stats job does not gather stats on those tables, sometimes you might have to gather stats on those tables manually, okay? And you have to make sure that the right columns on your tables are indexed. That's very essential, okay? Now I'm going to do another demo for another query. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and paste the query. See, the query is running. So I'm going to go into the second terminal again and monitor, for what's going on there in the database. And I can see the query process ID 224. Okay. Now I'm going to you can see that the query is still running, right? And here we're selecting from the user activity log table, okay? The query is still running, right? Now, I mentioned in the first instance that we can always, kill the query if we need to, right? Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, just so that we see in real time how that is done. Okay. So we see the query still running. The process ID is 224. So I'm gonna go ahead and execute the command. Okay, and then I was just able to terminate. You see how long it was taking? It was running for over 1,053,000. But look, once I create an index on this table, okay, the right index, see on the first table, it was a single column index. Here I'm using a multi-column index, okay? So that's just to show you that sometimes you might need, depending on the where clauses and sort by clauses and things of that nature, you might need to index one column. Sometimes you might need to index multiple columns, okay? Um, okay. Um, user activity log. For some reason, you can't find the user activity log table, which is strange. Okay. So I'm going to okay. Well, I gotta like default tables. I'm gonna go ahead and set search path to e-commerce again and see if that helps. Okay. Okay. So index got created. And then I'll go ahead and run that query again. That was taking forever before the index was created. And then we're gonna see what the performance will look like this time around. Before I do that, I'm gonna gather stats. On the table. And then we're gonna run that query again. So see, it ran in 121 milliseconds. So that's just to show you the importance of having right indexes, gathering stats on your tables, because those are the two main things that will affect performance in real time. Also, you have to factor in looking at blocking sessions and a few other things as a DBA. But for the most part, your stats and your indexes will get it done for PostgreSQL. So yeah, that's it.